Revenue Department to share information on those American nationals who are working here and have bank accounts. This is one of the ways that they track the tax evasions, if there is, of the United States citizens in whichever country they are. So India has signed up with the United States for the FATCA compliance. So each and every bank in India, whether private or cooperative or nationalized, has to give a FATCA report to the Reserve Bank of India, which then shares it in their regularized channels to the American authorities. So let's look at what is money laundering. I've tried to make this presentation with a lot of pictures wherever possible because I think that helps the recall and makes my explanation and your understanding more easier. So you have on the left-hand side of the screen how money laundering works. Actually, it works in three different stages. You have dirty money which comes out of nefarious activities. Okay, this is dirty money. This is in India it's called as black money, but internationally it's called dirty money. So this dirty money, the sources are defaulting on taxes, drugs, prostitution, arms, counterfeit money, what have you. I mean, these are just a few of them. The list goes on and on. So you have dirty money, and banks are the only medium of having this money circulated within the population of the country. So all this dirty money gets deposited into banks by way of accounts being opened in the bank. So here you have somebody coming and opening an account in this bank, and they, in turn, the account holder has opened a couple of other accounts in other branches of these banks, either within the country or out of the country. So when you place the dirty money in the bank, it is said as, it's called as placement of dirty money. And then when you want to spread it out across number of branches or number of branches within or out of the country, you are layering it. You are creating layers so that when, I mean that's as an assumption that when the regulator tries to trace back, he does not understand from where these monies are coming. That's not the case, and that's the objective of anti-money laundering application that we're going to see. So these monies then are brought out and they are invested overseas or within the country. You can have overseas accounts and you can have credit cards, debit cards issued in your name, and you can buy stuff and then money becomes clean. You can use those monies for investment in stock exchanges, or you can do business investments in land or any of these assets. So this is how the dirty money ultimately becomes clean. Now, the time horizon for the dirty money to become clean is not weeks. It could take years. It could take years. It could be 1 year. It could be 5 years. It could be 10 years. So one has to really, the banks have to really be very observant as to how an account is functioning and where the monies are coming from and who is the one who's depositing. So where the money is coming from and what are the sources is a function of anti-money laundering solution within the OFSA suite of products. And when the bank wants to know who is the person or who is the account holder who is depositing and withdrawing and transferring money, that information comes from the KYC. So we now go on to the next slide. So Essentially, my focus today is going to be on the FCCM's two main modules, that is the anti-money laundering and know your customer. So, but before that, let's just look at it. Let's look at FCCM and what it does actually. So, FCCM provides many ways of detection of crime or laundering of money by using some techniques better suited for a particular problem. Okay? Now, what I mean by this is we have a set of scenarios, or in other words, an objective to be met by the bank. And once these objectives are met, we have a detection technique which allows us to identify who the person and what is happening and allows us to take a suitable approach to solve this problem. Now for that, you need to know also the details of the person who is operating the account. It could be an individual, it could be a group of individuals, it could be a company, it could be an entity, it could be a non-profit organization, because that's one of the sources of money laundering nowadays. So we have anybody and everybody under this gambit. So this could become a positioning statement with when you initially try and go ahead and meet the CXO levels, because this is an enterprise-wide solution and cannot be decided. The purchasing or which solution to really go by would not be decided at the manager level. It is top-down driven, so your target audience is going to be the CXO level. So here you have one mechanism that traces and one mechanism that tells you who is the person who is carrying out and the nefarious activities by exposing his addresses. That comes from KYC. And the techniques that we use to identify the sources and identify the problem within the bank is done through the anti-money laundering solution within OFS. I have purposely put in the background of Panama Papers. I mean, this is very, very recent, as recent as about 4 or 5 months back. And I would request all of you to Google out and understand what these Panama Papers are. It's very interesting. YouTube has at least about 50, 60 videos on this, and this is interesting. It could, you could discuss this case with the people that you're going to meet up with. You could give the reference of Panama Papers, etc. So, please do that as a homework for you guys. This is interesting reading. It's good knowledge base to understand how anti-money laundering really works. Now, before we go on to the case studies or how we to make you understand what it is, I thought you should be knowing how the system looks like. What is it that happens within the entire system? On the left-hand side of the screen over here, you shall see information coming in through KYC. You will see over here on the left-hand side, there are various sources of data that come by. So for AML KYC for the FCCM module to really function well, we got to have this data from KYC and from other sources like the core banking system. It could be a transactional data. It could be from net banking. It could be phone banking. Any of these ATMs, all these become the sources for us. We aggregate this into this database over here. This is the AML database. Now what happens over here is this data is then pulled up by the behavior detection engine or the AML engine. Now this engine has very sophisticated algorithms built in to identify the scenarios that you're going to tell what is it that you want to achieve. So within this engine is a scenario to find out whether, okay, let me explain what a scenario is. A scenario could be, to give an example, let's assume that we are walking into a police station and you're just invisible, and you hear the top cop telling his juniors that, look, I need a person A arrested who is 6 feet tall, who has blue eyes, fair skin, he has a limp on the left feet, and wears expensive jewelry and exhibits them. So this news is given down to his cronies and they go and identify. So scenario is his explanation of what he wants to do. He's given the explanation of the person, he's given the physical discrimination, he's given his looks, he's given roughly how he walks and how he exhibits himself. The moment some of the agents on the field see the similar descriptive person, which is called as a match, they send out a signal saying that, yes, I have identified. That is an alert. Now when this alert is generated, the police takes action. They investigate. They follow the person. They investigate. And if found that this is the right person, the arrest is made. I'm trying to give a similar analogy within the AML and KYC applications here. We have the scenario which tells us what is to be done, what is the problem statement, what is the objective to be attained. There is a match engine which sees whether the scenario is matching and shoots out an alert, which is then acted upon by the executives or the officers within the financial intelligence unit in a bank and then reported. So that happens over here. So what I'm trying to impress upon all of you is the AML solution that we have is built in with very sophisticated algorithms and has artificial intelligence built in. When you compare other competitors in the market, they have just a simple rule-based engine. Ours is a scenario-based engine which has, I think, about 15 to 20 algorithms working simultaneously, making this entire thing intelligent enough. Yeah, Jayanta, I hear, I see your hand up. Can I help you?
Yes, Kishore, just I wanted to understand, how does bank create the scenarios? What is the basis of creating the scenarios in context of AML?
Yeah, see, the scenario is an objective to be met, okay?
Right.
Now, we have, Oracle has more than 300 scenarios built in, okay?
Okay.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
how did we do, how did Oracle do that? Oracle has got implementations all over the world. We have implemented over 150 solutions across the globe, okay, in different geographies. So we have a pattern of how fraud and how laundering happens. Based on this and with the interaction with banks, both the tier 1, tier 2 banks, okay, they have come out with scenarios which are applicable. Now this scenario need not be in just unison or or just one scenarios. You can have couple of scenarios together and make up one main objective to attain. Okay, so when the bank asks us as to wants us to implement, I think in the proposal, if you see, during in the scope, we mentioned that we are going to implement AML, and then we are giving minimum 4 scenarios. I mean, any one of you who have taken the proposal from us, you please have a look at the scope that is mentioned in the proposal. The scope will mention implementation of so-and-so, and when you come to AML, largely we mention which are the 4 scenarios that are going to be implemented. And these 4 scenarios are largely used in the bank. Let me just try and show you what it looks like. Okay, I have a slide here. Okay, can you see this slide over here? Can you
Yes.
see? Okay,
Yes.
so now you see, just a minute, just give me a second, just give me a second. Okay, now is that clear? You can see this?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's
Yeah, so we have so many scenarios. I've tried to capture as much as possible on this particular screen. You have anomalies in behavior, changes in behavior. Okay, you have significant change from the previous and average activity. You have rapid movement of funds, how funds get transferred, what is the velocity at which the funds get transferred. You're looking at source of fund, anticipatory profile. We're looking at anticipatory profile income. Is there is a scenario to find out whether there's an activation in an inactive account?
mm,
Okay, have large amount of money is going out from a particular account. You see here deposit and withdrawals in the same or similar account.
okay.
We also find out we can track terrorist financing.
Okay.
Okay, this is interesting because this is forming the backbone of most of the scenarios that banks want nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you look at high risk geographies, I mean, from which geography is this money going to and coming from? Okay, you have a
Okay.
scenario to track that. You have scenarios to look at hidden relations. That again comes for, but that also can be used for terrorist fighting. You have scenarios for patterns of funds which have been transferred between internal accounts within the same branch in the bank, within the branches in the country, within the branches which is outside the, if the bank has many branches out of the country, then you can track that also. I would like to show one more screen. Okay, see here you have other scenarios. You have scenarios for fraud here, right? I think we were discussing the other day, Venta, about fraud, right?
Right.
Right. So frauds are, we have about 7, 8 of them. Okay, we have frauds that happen on from the ATM, frauds that happen on the debit card, the bank card, the credit card. The frauds also happen on the check, but this system does not handle the check frauds. Okay? You can notify it. You can. Hello, I hear somebody asking some question. Hello, I hear somebody asking me a question. Jigagini,
Hi Kishore.
yeah, Jigagini.
Yes, can you give me a real life example on this AML scenario, please? It'll help me to understand better. Like,
I have,
like suppose,
I have three
like
live cases. I have three live cases for you in the following slide.
I,
I would,
I'm unable to hear.
am I audible to all or no? Hello, am I audible to all or no?
Yeah, Kishore, you are audible.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Jigagini just said that I'm not audible, so I was just wondering.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So
So
suppose I transfer. Just for my understanding, just can you make it a little more clearer to me? Audible?
yes, yes, you're audible.
Okay. Suppose I transfer 2.5 lakhs to one account today, and
Uh-huh.
in the next month, suppose I transfer another 2.5 lakhs to the same person in a different account. So is that an example of a anti-money laundering, or is it like a normal transaction?
See, what happens is
Mm-hmm.
people can do it one-off time. Okay, you don't keep transferring money very often here and there, correct? So,
Right.
right? So the bank also keeps a tab on your transactions, basically, okay? Here you have large depreciation of account value. You see this? Can you see from the
Yes.
left side? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me make it more this thing for you. Okay. Can you see this? Can you see this? Deposit
Yes. Yeah.
without in the same or similar accounts. Then
Yeah.
you have large depreciation of account values,
Yes.
correct? Then you have
Yeah.
anticipatory profile,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you see
Mm-hmm.
rapid movement of funds, that is funds transfer.
Okay.
So what a bank does is, if a bank is really truth in itself, really wants to be a very clean bank, where they have a reputation at stake, they will
Mm-hmm.
definitely have more than four um, basic scenarios. Okay?
Okay.
Because as you rightly questioned me, I mean, that's a good question. So you have one scenario which says track the rapid movement of funds. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then it says, okay, then you do one thing, get have an anticipatory profile scenario and find out the source of funds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you say, okay, let's have another scenario to find out the deposit and withdrawal in same or similar amount or in similar accounts, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you can be tracked nowadays for every single paisa that you withdraw from the bank.
Okay.
That's precisely what our the Prime Minister did the other day. Okay, the reason why 1,000 rupees and 500 was scrapped basically because when you stack in money, your laundered money, in absolute hardcore currency, okay, you would like to have it in higher denominations, right? You can't
Right.
have 5 crores in 1 rupee and 5 rupees or 10 rupees or even 100 rupees. It's more easier to carry on store 1,000 rupees, 5 crores and thousands. So that's one of the reasons. So when you devalue that money, okay, and that denomination, then that money is useless. But when the Prime Minister said you are allowed to deposit 2.5 lakhs, this is the scenario most of big banks are going to look at. One, rapid movement of funds. Two, anticipatory profile. Three. Get it? So
Okay. Yeah.
wherever you are putting the money, whenever you are taking out money, nowadays you are just bound to be in the eye of the regulator. And that's exactly what the country needs. And that's what the objective of AML and KYC is. Have I answered your question?
Yes. Yes, Kishore. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Vibhavna. Yeah, Jayanta, you have another question. I see your hand raised.
Kishore, just I wanted to understand. See, now these scenarios, let's say globally, all geos will have different patterns, right? Let's say some countries in Latin America, maybe Panama or some countries out there, the behavioral patterns will be completely different from probably the developed countries in Europe or US, right?
Yeah,
So
you're right.
so how does the system provide the required information when it comes to the scenarios in specific to the countries?
No, can you repeat your question again? Okay, let me see. Okay, let me just tell you what I've understood. You're saying that how does the scenarios that have been mentioned in the scenario library within our solution be
Right.
applicable to emerging and developing economies, which are different in terms of operations as far as developed economies are?
You're right. Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, see, okay, now these scenarios that you see here is just a little abstract, okay? It's an abstract. I've just tried to take out. If you can come by and I can share you the library of 300 scenarios, Jayanta, which covers almost anything and everything as far as money transactions are taking place, irrespective irrespective of the economic activity or the economic development of that geography that you're talking about. They are applicable across. That's part one. Part two is we in the sense Oracle can develop a scenario. Okay, but beyond 300 scenarios, 300, I doubt you need anything. However, Standard Chartered Bank, when it went in for Oracle Financial Services anti-money laundering and KYC, had 4 or 5 scenarios defined the way they wanted it. Okay? They have the IPR on that. That's not shared here in this scenario. So they have the rights to that. But then Oracle delivered it, we did customize it. That is customized scenarios. Now that is expensive. That's going to be an expensive exercise. And generally, if you look at it, I've seen and I've been talking to bankers across. When I tell them that we have 300 scenarios and I just show them the list, okay, they're more than happy. They're saying, okay, I don't need anything more. I mean, this is more than what I want, what could be applicable. And specifically, Jayanta, if you look at it, these scenarios can also be for the new banks that are coming up, the payment banks, small banks in India. Okay, even they can use these scenarios. It's applicable across geographies, irrespective of the size.
Okay. Yes. Sure. Thanks.
Yeah. Is there anything else anybody wants to ask me? Can I go ahead? Okay.
Please.
Anyway. Yeah, okay, fine. So I'm going ahead. So okay. So here we were here, and so now let's look at this. Okay. So you have the behavior detection engine which throws out the alerts, which is passed on to an officer or an analyst who does the investigation and raises a case to the financial intelligence unit within the branch, okay, and then that is reported as a CTR. The CTR is an acronym for Cash Transaction Report. And you have an SAR, a Suspicious Account Report, or Suspicious Activity Report, or Suspicious Transaction Report. So when the bank regular intervals, I think it is in India, it's about every 15 days, they send a CTR as well as an STR. And along with the CTR and STR, the bank also files in what is called as a high-risk entity report. It could be for a person, or it could be also for a organization or a group of people. Once that is done, you can compile it and retrieve it later for your use. So this is in general how the system architecture for anti-money laundering and KYC looks like. Is there any questions over here right now? Can I go ahead? Has anybody any kind of a question? Please stop me right now. Not an issue at all. Is everybody okay? Can I go ahead?
Guy, you can raise your hand.
Yeah, if there is anything, please raise your hands. Nothing? Oh, great. Okay. So from the inside sales team, is there any question? Because you are the first people, you are the first line of interface between the prospects or the clients and the organization. Amar, is there anything that you feel that is needed to be answered for you?
No, from my side it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's continue further. Yeah. Somebody was trying to ask me a question. Please raise your hand there. You can use the icon to press. Okay, fine. Great. So now let's look at the next slide. So here I'm trying to bring about as to how each of the central banks and the banks that come under the purview of the concerned central bank, okay, report into how they use AML and how it gets reported. Okay, so there's a lack of space here. So here's what I've done. On the left-hand side, you shall see on the screen the BIS, the Bank for International Settlement, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and FATF, that's the Financial Action Task Force. This particular association of 4 world bodies, they come up with what has to be implemented as policies across the group countries that have agreed to abide by their policies as to what the processes for anti-money laundering is going to be. So I'm trying to exhibit over here, that is, let's say assume that this is the central bank of country 1. This is for country 2. This is for country 3, and you have the central bank for country 4. There could be n other banks over here. Okay. Now these are banks within which report into the central bank of that particular country, and then assume it's like a binary tree, you know. So you have this bank 1, which will have about 15, 20, 100, 200, 500, 900 branches. Similarly over here, and it goes on till you are over here. So these people, the group of 4, as I like to call them, they're the guys who really work about as to what should be followed, what should be the methodologies to define anti-money laundering processes within each of these countries, how they have to be reported, and who has to report it to whom. Okay. The Financial Action Task Force is generally a body of all ex-law enforcement agencies, stalwarts, starting from the police, the Interpol, the intelligence agencies, the Ministry of Finance, intelligence units, enforcement directorates. That is what it's made up of. So, you know, when you have an AML that comes in enforcement, this is how it really goes about, and the financial unit, intelligence unit of each of these banks then report this into the FATF. Okay, so Jugagni, here is one case for you to understand. In July of this year, in July of this year, the Enforcement Directorate of India, okay, filed a case against Jignesh Shah, okay, for money laundering. Now, Jignesh Shah is the founder, MD, CEO of 2 companies, that's the Financial Technologies India Limited, that made financial applications, and also played on the stock exchange. He took their, he was the mediator, and he had another company called as the National Spot Exchange Limited. National Spot Exchange Limited. It is not the National Stock Exchange. It's the Spot Exchange Limited. And he laundered money. He laundered a huge amount of money. Huge. That's rupees almost 5,600 million rupees. Okay. And this was spotted by the scenarios that we were just discussing the other time. This is for large reportable transactions, doubtful transactions, and also high-risk transactions. And probably he must have laundered that money out of the country. Otherwise, you know, so much money getting laundered and does not go unnoticed. It's unlikely. So this is one case where you had Mr. Jignesh Shah being caught because of an AML, because of a couple of AML scenario in Unison have identified his activity. Okay? Yeah.
Again, could you please confirm the email address again?
Hello? Did somebody ask me something? I heard somebody ask me something. Hello? Hey, Manoj, do you have any clarifications? Are you fine with this?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Manoj, are you okay with this case study?
Yeah, I'm fine. Absolutely fine.
Now, this is the second exhibit for you. There's some glitch here. It's not really going off smoothly. Okay, so now let's look at the second exhibit. I could not roll in. I don't know. There's some kind of a glitch happening over here for me. I can't show you the previous screen. Okay, so oh yeah, there it comes. There it comes. Okay, so this is the case which happened in December of last year, November of last year, of course, where France and Germany moved to block money of from ISIS. Okay, this was after the explosion that happened in France. So France and Germany on Wednesday announced, that is at that time, they announced the intention of blocking all the assets on and their accounts in whatever banks that they had traced back their activities. And Spain announced that they will also be implementing this, and the schedule should take place in 2017. Actually, it has already started taking place. So anybody who is handling Europe, this is a big pointer for you to start activities in Europe, because AML footprints of AML offshore AML is pretty good, strong in tier 1 banks, and most of the banks that launder money are not very small banks. They are pretty much tier 1 and tier 2 banks. HSBC being one of the cases for you that laundered dirty money. We can do that. I can talk to you about that later. But this is the second exhibit for you to really appreciate how anti-money laundering really works. Then we have the exhibit 3, that is the BCCI, not the BCCI that we know for cricket. This is Bank of Credit and Commerce International. This was founded by a gentleman, I don't know to call him gentleman. This was founded by a person called Aga Hussain Abedi, who is a financier for Pakistan. And he registered this company in Luxembourg with head offices in Karachi and London. They had huge number of branches all across the world, almost about 78 countries. And they had a huge asset base in excess of $20 billion. Okay, you're talking in 72, okay? And by 2005, this was much beyond 20 billion. It had made its mark as the 7th largest private bank in the world. Okay, but there were a lot of bad money getting into this account. There were a lot of nefarious activities and terrorist funding and terrorist accounts that were identified within this bank. Okay, and they found out that it was not only monies coming in, but were getting distributed all across geographies in the world. These people had branches in 78 countries, so monies used to come in from, say, as far away as, say, Mongolia, and got credited into somebody's account in Africa via about 3-4 routes which go across Europe, US, India, Southeast Asia, and then landed in Africa. So this was tracked back because we had scenarios on terrorist financing, tracking, network of accounts, terrorist financing, large reportable transactions. Database of all the people on all the accounts that the bank has over here on the left hand side. Okay, this is the client data that the bank has given us, and assume that this is the AML solution. Okay, so the data gets pulled in over here in our solution. Now you apply scenarios over here. That means you're telling the system what is the problem, what is the objective to be met. Okay, so this is how, and the scenarios and patterns are analyzed over here. The alert creator groups, okay, that are within the system identify the related matches and is assigned to some of the people who are called as analysts, or it largely goes into the financial intelligence unit of each bank. These people analyze it, they make their reports, regulatory reports, they find out whether they flag it off as a red flag. Red flag means you put in a mark there for you to attend later, or some kind of a flag which tells you that you need to do some kind of an action later, right now, or however it can be. So you have these people who have already done this. They gather all the additional data from the KYC. They find out whether it has to be given off as a criminal case, or then they just file it off as a historical data, which can be revisited anytime that the bank thinks that there is a nefarious activity that it has observed in the past. So now we are coming into the realm of know your customer. The know your customer is an important application when you're detecting money laundering or fraud. Though it's not a very huge application like AML, the anti-money laundering, it plays a very important part. The reason is that the reason is that in KYC what happens is you give a score. Okay, this is the module that gives a score, the risk scoring process, which is extremely important. The reason and how you do it is there is something that is called as due diligence, customer due diligence, and the next step is enhanced due diligence. I can find out from the place that he hails from, or the place where he stays, his income, his family setup, whether this person is risky or not, and I can give it a score. Okay, so the moment I give it a score, this gets captured into the system, and any further transaction that happens, this, if it's a risky score that I have given to this person, it will flash onto the screens, and the analyst will then look into further. That's part one. That's actually the second step. The first step is when you walk in the bank to open an account. Okay, they ask you for your details. Okay, you are not seeing the screen actually, but actually they are taking in all your details, right? What they're doing is they're trying to match your name, your details, address with something that is called as a watch list. Okay, so you think you're giving your name and address, but actually they're trying to do a deduplication check whether a person named Kishore Rao already exists within the bank, or is Kishore Rao having a negative profile in a watch list, or otherwise also called as a hot list. Okay, so you have two types of watch list. One is within the bank. Our AML system has the facility for the bank to create its own internal watch list and to interface with external watch lists. So when I go to open an account, say in HDFC, the person is telling me, sir, please sit down. Yes, nice to have you. What's your name, sir? How could I put up your name? Then he asks for the spelling. Then it's the moment he says submit, the system runs first or parallelly runs a dedupe check, both internal and external. And if it is fine, then they, you're given the forms and you're welcome. But however, in spite of all that, your bank account doesn't just open in a jiffy. They also do an enhanced due diligence. This is done by sending people to your home. Many a times you must have realized if you take a loan, you have people coming over to your home to see what exactly what you have said matches with what you really have, what you really are. Because you must have disclosed some amount of assets saying that I have 2 cars and I have a flat and I have a 2-bedroom flat, 3-bedroom flat, whatever it may be, okay, and I have only 2 dependents, but when they land up they see 5 dependents and it's a shady location and you don't have 2 cars. So, that is that process is called as enhanced due diligence, one of the enhanced due diligence. They can also give you a score on which geography and which locality you stay. You must have not disclosed that you are politically aligned to a particular party and you are a politically very active person. In that case, there are scenarios within the bank to identify politically exposed persons. And you will be marked in KYC as a PEP, a politically exposed person. Okay? So, when you are talking about our system to the bankers, the reason I'm trying to elaborate most of them is, people come and tell me, Kishore, can you just take off one of these modules from the BOM that you have recommended? The reason we recommend is because we feel that overall, when we are giving a solution in totality, that is what is really required by the bank. Okay? That's what is required by the bank. And it becomes very easy for us to understand what the next actions are going to be only if you take this minimum required BOM that we are suggesting. Jayanta, you have a question. Can I help you? Jayanta, you have a question. Can I help you?
Yes, my question is KYC application is integrated with CIBIL in India for you to understand the customer profile?
No. It can be. It can be. It can be. See, what happens is the KYC is you are knowing your customer who's going to walk in. Okay. So on the onboarding part, that comes in customer insights. What you're trying to understand is on the customer insights, if I'm not mistaken. Is that where you're coming from?
No, basically, I just wanted to understand. You said there will be an internal check as well as external check, right? When you want to do an external check, so how do you do the checking externally? Is it integrated with some external applications like CIBIL or something?
No. I'm coming to that, Jayanta. Good question. Good question. Very good question. Very good question. Yeah, Syed, you also have a question? Syed, you have a question?
Yeah, sure. There is a lot of emphasis on cost reduction in this slide. Can you just elaborate on that?
Cost reduction, could you repeat? Your voice was cracking. Cost reduction in?
Second point, reduce cost of meeting. The third point, reduce cost. And the fifth point, reduce cost of total cost of ownership. So can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. See, what happens over here is how we reduce the cost of ownership is in the sense that, this application does not be, there is one is you amortize the cost over the life of the product, right? When you own a certain system, there are two ways of it. One is it gives you revenues back into your system, or two, you utilize the system for a longer period of time, though it does not really add to your internal revenues, it helps you in spotting out nefarious activities which could block or negate the risk part, the reputational risk part. So ultimately, this is also a cost to the company. Why I'm trying to tell you that is, and how what is the pointer to my discussion on that is, you have HSBC, you have Deutsche Bank, okay, you have BCCI. These people have paid in excess of over $15 billion, $15 billion as fines. Okay, so if you look at it, then you are really adding into the funds, right? You are adding into your what we call in commercial terms or in accounting terms is retained profits. You are not eroding into your retained profits. So if you look at it, it does have a direct impact on how you save money and how you are really negating the reputational risk. So does that answer your question, Sayed? Sayed? I don't see Sayed.
Yes. So because basically people here view this application as an expense. Just to comply with the regulator, this module is required, and this is not getting as any revenue like any other solution. Nice. So because why I need this clarification is so that we can convey to the customer that how it reduces the cost or how it controls the revenue leakage and stuff like that. That's why I wanted to have some clarity on that. Thank you.
That's a fantastic question. It's a very good question, because when you are giving out, when you're talking to the person as to how this bank or how this system, specifically AML, KYC, and fraud is useful, indirectly I had put up those slides so that you have a case in point for you to discuss when you are going there and meeting these people. Okay, so and bankers are aware of it. Bankers are aware of how Standard Chartered Bank has been fined. Bankers are aware of how Lehman Brothers was closed down. Bankers are aware how BCCI has been fined and closed down. Bankers are aware how Deutsche Bank has been fined for all these activities. They know about it. Okay, unless that thing happens to them, they won't open their eyes. It is when that happens to them, and it's not only their central bank who is going to take action. IMF and World Bank, especially in your geography, Sayed. Am I audible, Sayed? Hello?
Yes,
Sayed?
Go ahead.
Yeah, especially for Jayanta and Sayed in the geographies that you are operating in. Okay, these are largely developing and emerging economies, and they are bound to be cost conscious. They are bound to be cost conscious. They will see this as an expense and not as an investment. But the moment you give out case studies to them, okay, their eyes open up. And it's, if not, because their development authority, development bank in that particular country, or the central bank in that country, when it starts getting questions from the four bodies, the group of four that I was just explaining to you in the other slide, they know that's going to have a monetary impact on them. Okay, and very soon in Africa you're going to see something coming up. Very soon. Very soon you're going to see something coming up in Africa. So, so even if it is not that, because you invested $100, you're going to recover this in, say, 2 years, and therefore the cost of that equipment becomes zero for you because it's already recovered, and then it's only, you don't have to amortize any expense. It's only maintenance cost that comes onto that system. That's not how it really should be looked at. Jayanta, is it okay with you? I think you also had the similar question, right? Once upon a time.
Yeah, so it's okay with me.
Yeah, it's okay with you. Okay, fine. Okay. All right. So here is KYC, which is a very small system though, but extremely important, which actually goes hand in hand, is very closely coupled, not tightly coupled, very tightly coupled. Sorry, I made a mistake. It's very tightly coupled with the AML. Together, you come to know how risky the customer is, and together they can track any of the fraudulent activities. Okay, and it enables you to get a 360-degree view of the customer's activity. The customer could be an account, it could be an, it could be a company, it could be anything. Okay, I see somebody asking a question. Just a minute, please. Manoj, you have a question? Hello? Manoj, you have a question?
He's asking how it enables 360-degree view of the customer activity.
Okay, I just saw the chat right now. Okay. Yeah. See, Manoj, are you hearing me? I mean, that's what my challenge is. I mean, I'm speaking to him and he's giving me a chat. Either I'm not audible or he's not audible. Yeah, okay. So a 360-degree view of the customer means that I can find out anything and everything on that particular commercial, any transaction that the customer does. Okay, I can, from the AML, I know what his KYC score is, and from KYC, I can find out how many alerts are generated on this particular transaction or on his name, how many times he's been flagged off, are his transactions largely in cash, are his transactions largely on credit cards, debit cards, or checks. Okay, that's exactly what the present government wants to do. It also tells me what kind of expenses you're doing. Are you doing it on a particular asset that is going beyond your means of income? Okay, that also is a question that is being asked by the Enforcement Directorate. Let's not touch upon that over here, which though it has a direct relation from KYC and AML. Okay, so when you're looking at a customer, okay. As you can see and get clarity on any account that you're looking at, you're bound to see the total how the person's account or transactions are being performed over a period of time. So what we mean by 360-degree view is that you get an entire look, an executive look at each and every transaction that's happening on each and every account. Manoj, have I answered your question or do you need any further clarification on that?
Yeah, I got the answer. Just one small question. Kishore, from your experience, how often banks do this? They have a look at, or is it only when they enroll a new customer?
No. That is on onboarding, That's on onboarding, okay? That process which we are talking about is on onboarding. Okay? But otherwise, the bank, depending on the scenarios, okay, when the alert is generated, it not only looks at why the alert has been generated, but looks at where is he situated? Has he changed the address? Has he changed his telephone number? Because the moment you change your address more than 3 times, I have a scenario in 90 days, okay? In 90 days, the moment you change your address, the AML scenarios, if it has been included in the set of scenarios that are required to be tracked, it will alert. It will throw alert. Okay. Have you changed your address 3 times in 90 days? Have you been changing and closing your credit cards very often? are you being paying your loans in a bulk all of a sudden? Okay. So these kind of things would be easily tracked. Okay. So, are you getting the answer? Am I being?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got it. Okay, okay.
No, all right. So now let me take you on to the next part. Okay, so let's now go over to the next screen. Okay, here this exhibit is what I was trying to tell you, Manoj. When you do a KYC, Jayanta, for you also, when you were asking me the question, is that when you, what happens in a KYC? I mean, do you collect information? How is it assessed? And what is the watch list? Okay. So here it is. Briefly, you collect the information of the customer. You verify, right? I mean, you get an information, that's fine. Okay, but you verify. You assess the risk. You give a score, and you find out how risky the person is. Correct? Now, for example, suppose I have a customer who is say from Pakistan. Okay. Now that geography across the world is flagged off. It's not only in India. It's flagged off all across the world. So the person says that I am residing in Pakistan, Karachi, and I want to open an account in say New York. Okay. I have an account in Citibank Karachi, but I'd like to have an account opened in Citibank New York. I mean, the KYC is definitely going to look at the geography, and the AML scenarios are definitely going to be immediately activated the moment some transaction takes place. Okay. This KYC process also facilitates the approval process just when you are about to open an account. That is when, Jayanta, when you ask me, it is referred to the deduplication check happens both within the internal list of the bank as well as the external list. The external lists are OFAC. Okay, you have you have Reuters. Okay, you have the Reuters list. You have the Interpol. You have there are all these lists that are available. Some of them have to be bought. Okay, World Check is one of something which Reuters sells, Thomson Reuters. But this is a summation of all the other watch lists in the world, right? So I think when we discuss watch list with the bankers, we ask them whether you'd like to use the World Check, or would you like to go in for a UN watch list, or would you like to go in for OFAC, or what? Syed, are you there? Syed?
Yes, Kishore.
Okay. See, when we were discussing for your bank, Zemin Bank, right? When they were saying what is the system they wanted to be integrated with, okay? We said it is going to be CGI hot scan, which needs to be which needs to interact with the watch lists like OFAC and other lists that we just discussed. So the other lists are they have to put it in, but the built-in list is available, and facility of creating the own internal watch list is available within our AML system. Okay, so the bank will have to do some data entry work, okay, right, and create their own watch list, and also can refer to the external watch list. Right.
So the Reuters provides watch list. I just want to understand whether they provide any AML and KYC solution as well as part of their offering.
Yes, they do. I think so. They have. They have. But it's so expensive. It is so damn expensive. I mean, if people find Oracle expensive, I don't know, they won't even touch the brochures of Reuters. that damn bloody expensive.
FMB Malawi using Thomson Reuters, AML and KYC.
Oh, so then why don't they buy our system without negotiation?
Yeah, they have a different reason, yeah.
Anyway, so okay, we'll discuss that offline. Anyway, so you have due diligence, and due diligence happens when you are doing an account onboarding. You're doing enhanced due diligence the moment you feel that you are suspicious about some of the information that he has given about himself, about his identity. So you go in for a verification, asset verification, address verification, etc. Right inside, you see how what I was trying to tell is that the moment you have a transaction monitoring system or a behavior detection system, which in this case is our AML, it flags out an alert. That information about that account is sent to KYC, where the risk assessment is done and the score is sent back. And so this is how the AML KYC is tightly coupled. And generally, it is advised that the moment you go in for an AML, it's required. I mean, we request the bankers not to, oversee that. They don't feel I don't need a KYC, or they say I don't need an AML, I just need a KYC. So there's something to it which they're trying to hide. But we would request a holistic approach of AML KYC to them, right? Okay. Right. So now, when you are going to these banks, okay, I'm not getting into a larger functionality details because I feel that the moment I go into the details, it becomes more of a debatable issue. And as people on the ground, you got to know how and where it is applied, broadly know what is the application like. And the rest of the thing becomes really technical in this case. So here is your target segment, very clearly, very, very small, nice. You have only two target segments, that's the banks and financial institution or non-banking finance companies. Very simple. Then you have the target audience within the target segment. So you take a bank or a non-banking financial institution. Your first focus under any circumstances comes to be as the Chief Compliance Officer. Okay. Your second focus, you have two on the second focus on the same level. That is the Chief Operations Officer, the Chief Information Officer, or the Chief Technology Officer. Of which I would certainly think that if you look at the CCO and the COO, you have somebody really attentive. I think these two should be your initial focus, and then of course you can't miss out on the technology part, the CTO at all. He or she needs to be direct attention. So fine. So here is, I thought I will share with you. I'm sure you must be having your own sales pitch or your elevator pitch, but I've been thinking over this for quite some time, and I thought let me share this with you in case if I was there, how I would have put it across. Is that GMR has analytical applications that cater to risk, compliance, and treasury analytics. These applications have a direct impact negating reputation risk, reduction of losses, and can help you in adhering to regulatory requirements. So, in fact, this happened to me a month and a half back when I met some friends of mine, my old friends at Namura and Lehman at the Pune airport, and they were telling me, "Oh, what is JMR into? Kya karta hai? What are you guys doing?" So I said, "Okay, here we are an analytical, we are into analytics, and we cater to risk and compliance for treasury analytics as well as for anti-money laundering, and we have solutions also for customer insights, which can really be useful for your marketing of your financial products." So I assume they're going to give me an appointment soon. But yeah, this is the pitch that I feel, okay. You guys can go ahead and correct it. But I think a pitch which is beyond 3 lines or 4 lines will confuse the person. Any observations on these? Do you have any observation you would like to share on this particular pitch or something? Yeah, Syed, you've raised your hand.
Can I just give some inputs on this treasury analytics?
Okay. See, the treasury functions, though this is not covered under FCCM, I would definitely like to share with you. See, the treasury part, okay, like I think Ravi touched upon it yesterday, right? I think you all touched upon the asset and liability management, fund transfer pricing, profitability, and balance sheet planning. Now, treasury is a place or a function within the bank that deals with money. It deals with profitability. Treasury looks at which is the profitable organization, I mean, which is the profitable branch, or suppose now you're sitting in Citibank and I'm at the New York headquarters and I want to find out how profitable my India business is, right? So the treasury then changes the geography from global and it goes to India. From India, it says, I want to know which is the branch which is giving me the maximum retail business in terms of, say, numbers. Okay, I'm not talking of values or percentages. I'm saying numbers, the volume wise. How many crores of rupees or how many $1 million it is giving me. So I narrow in on that particular asset, and then I find out which is the geography. Is it Bombay? Is it Ahmedabad? Is it Delhi? Is it Chennai? Bangalore? Nagpur? Pune? Where is it? I mean, so you can narrow in over there. You can find out what is the net interest income. Okay. You can also find out the net interest margin. Net interest income is the actual income that reflects onto your balance sheets. Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Suddenly everybody's gone blank. Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, you can hear. Okay, fine. So, treasury, hello? Yeah? The treasury looks into how much money are coming in. You can drill down, Syed. You can drill down. That is what we've done at one of the banks in Nigeria. We've given them drill down capabilities on the FTP application as to which desk is the most profitable. It's not only the branch, it's not only the portfolio, but I'm going to the desk, drill down to the granular level and tell the bank that this is the person, this is the man who is giving you this business. Okay? This is the guy who is contributing to 30, 40, 50% of your business. So fund transfer pricing, profitability, balance sheet planning, asset and liability management comes as a treasury function, which comes what we call as enterprise performance management, EPM. Okay. So, Syed, have I answered your question?
Yeah, got it, Kishore. Thanks.
Okay. And if you need any more further information, Syed, please tell me. I'll share with you any document and presentations I have. You can also discuss with your
Sure. Thanks.
Okay. So this is some useful statistics I thought I should share with you guys as to what is happening in the banking industry, what is happening in the financial market today. The economic crime has risen up so badly, and this is I've taken these from reports from the Big 5 consulting firms, and this is startling. Look at it. 45% of the financial services companies are suffering from economic crime. 34% of total economic activity, including all industries, banks, non-banking finance, manufacturing, trading, what have you, they have experienced economic crime. 1 in 3 companies have already been hit by economic crime. That is this. 84% of the people, okay, who are working in the AML function, anti-money laundering function in the bank, they are saying that laundering is considered as one of the highest areas. 84%. That's not a small amount to really ignore, you know. So this is something that most of the banks today are definitely doing. This is going to be your pitch. This is going to tell you how serious this is. In the industry, 78% said that there is an increase in anti-money laundering investment. Okay, 78%. 78% people said that yes, we have invested in anti-money laundering. And of this 78, 74% say that there could be requirement of further investment in that. What they meant by that is, since they have got AML and KYC, they would like to go in for the enhanced case management. They would like to address the fraud. They would like to automate regulatory reporting. They would like to enhance the functionality of the watch lists. So in all, of all the 100 sample size, 87 said that there is they have invested in their investments have gone up, and I mean their investments. They're not saying expense. They're saying their investments has gone up. Okay, and they're saying of the 78%, they're saying yes, we would like to have more investments in the next 3 years. So here is a clue for all of us that, you know, you are sitting on a gold mine. Just go there and grab it, right? Here you find that of the top US financial institutions, I mean, that's considered the mecca of finance in the world today. Okay, you have 80% of the top tier 1 banks and financial companies using Oracle AML KYC. Okay, and you will be surprised at the next exhibit that 75% of the global, the previous slide was for the US. Here I'm saying 75% of the global financial institutions use Oracle solutions for risk and performance. So boss, as far as risk and performance is concerned, as far as AML KYC is concerned, you have 75% of the population of the financial institutions. So, you know, you have one of the best products that you are going to sell and are being associated with. So why JMR? I mean, how can JMR really help the banks, and what is it? What is it? So it's not only knowledge, it's not only experience. We can be creative in our implementations. We can have end-to-end solutions. We can be consultants. Please don't view us as, you know, just implementing a certain solution coming up. We've got over 400 man-years of domain expertise, right? I mean, that's not small. That's huge. Okay, we've done over 10 assignments to our credit in the past in 2 years' time. We've got 2 in process as I speak today. We are working at Yes Bank in Bombay. We're working in ABC Banking Corporation in Mauritius. Okay, in Yes Bank we're working on right now as I speak we're working on the operational risk. In ABC Banking Corporation in Mauritius we have implemented AML KYC. Okay, so we have a lot of assignments to our credit, and that doesn't come just because we have a solution. We are creative. We've assisted banks in domain expertise. We are ready to put up the process. You need not sell only the solution. We can sell and we can redesign the entire AML process for them. Right? I think Jayanta has done a good job. Jayanta in Malawi has gone and positioned ourselves as expertise, as experts in operational risk. Jayanta, can you just give a gist on that, please? More than me speaking, the person on sales on the ground is more important. Can you just elaborate very briefly?
Yeah, this is more on, this is not in Malawi, this is in Zimbabwe, basically. Okay, so Yeah, they were looking at setting up their OR processes, and it was completely initial stage they were at. So they have come back to us to first consult around operational risk areas, in terms of the scenarios and libraries and all that. Then accordingly designed a solution to what we consult for. So we have actually engaged in the early stage of the requirement, where we have started with a consulting approach, and then accordingly we are going to design these solutions basically. So while consulting, we are going to lay down their libraries or scenarios and all that, and then accordingly through Oracle Officer solution with operational risk, we are going to do the fit map. So while doing this, basically it's a value to them, because they were completely clueless as to how it needs to be done. JMR with consulting expertise, being helpful in terms of laying down their processes and the solution fitment accordingly.
Yeah, that's exactly true. And what I liked was, the way he had positioned the pitch that Jayanta gave was very, very superb. I mean, I was just right next to him, and he just put up a simple pitch to the head of compliance over there and said, "We are not here to sell you a solution, sir. We are here to help you define your processes. The application can come later. Let's look at how our domain experts can help you, really streamline your processes." Right, Jayanta? I think that was your first pitch that you made.
Yes,
There.
it was.
Yeah, right. It was a fantastic interaction that we had. Yeah. But the other interaction, I mean, another way of how people really pitch in really very well is, for example, how Matthews had mapped Yes Bank, and he took him time. Okay, it took him time. I mean, we discussed this case for at least about 2 months before he really went onto the field. He had mapped it to the lowest level. He had found out who is the person who can really give him insights, and he took us right up to the president and above. Um, um, and that was brilliant work, brilliant. I mean, he's held me late nights to give him documents, but a really brilliant mapping, and the way he's gone deep into the account. Matthew, can you just share your experience, please? Hey, Matthew. I don't think so. Hello, Matthew.
Unmuted.
Yeah, Matthew, go ahead. You are unmuted.
Okay, great, super. So yeah, so the next part is how can FCCM be helpful for the BFSI sector? Okay, I've just tried to elaborate and bring some subtle points which you can remember and then give it in your spiel to the concerned officers. One, of course, it is a regulatory compliance. That's there's no rocket science in that. The second point is far significant here, is that the driver is identifying and restricting terrorist finance, which is a pain for any bank and banker today. Okay? It enables to identify hidden relationships, which these two have a direct relationship first, but there could be some places where monies come in and our system identifies the hidden relationship. It does that by, one is when it's electronically transferring money, okay, it's doing it through a SWIFT message, largely. Okay, they don't go it by checks, they do it electronically. So, that gets captured over here. We backtrack the messages so we can identify from where the money has come. We have some of the most powerful scenarios in the market today. Believe me, among the 3-4 big players that are there, I can proudly tell you AML KYC from Oracle OFS is the best solution. the best. The detection engine is one of the best that is there in the market. Best of the breed, really cutting edge. Then you have detection of suspicious transactions. I just discussed the scenarios with you. It has fantastic algorithms to really detect. I mean, here you see the algorithms are really strong. You can do real-time monitoring of some transaction which happens for fraud. From your ATM, for your debit cards, credit cards, bank cards, phone banking, you can do it on real time. You can monitor this on real time. You can also detect whether your card is being, there is card skimming and phishing that is happening to your particular account. This comes under fraud, and then you can do it at real time. You guys are armed with one of the best applications on the planet today. Okay? You just have to ask us for support and we'll be there. Absolutely don't have to worry on that. So the value proposition is to minimize total cost of compliance. The compliance is in line with the local as well as the global requirements of regulations. You're going to maximize the efficiency by reducing false positives. Now this false positives, okay, I missed out on that. Let me explain to you. When you have a scenario and the alert is generated, sometimes if your systems are not really driven by powerful algorithm, even if there is a 5% match, the system says, yes, I have found something. But in our system, we minimize the false positives. Positive because you see the match. False because it actually is not a match. The bankers call it as false positives. So these false positives are minimized by over 90%. That's a huge amount. And you address the regulatory requirement for today and for tomorrow. Right? So this is the value proposition of the system that we have. Now, I thought I should just add this along with you because I've been working closely with all these sales guys, largely for AML, KYC, and other applications also. But I felt that if we associate with leading consulting firms, for example, geographies out of India, also, why don't we associate by tying up with some of the big five guys and bringing them as partners? I think Ratish has done that. We've done that with Accenture. We are working on similar things, similar lines with other big five people also. So I think if you do that, it's not only getting business, you're also positioning the company and you to add to the brand equity. Here is something interesting, and I have tried this in my last employment. So you engage with central banks. It not only helps you in brand equity, but you can have certain workshops. You can go and tell the central banks, and it's a difficult thing to do, but it does happen, okay? We can go along with Oracle, or we can even sponsor some workshops on AML, KYC. The reason I'm telling you this is, at one platform you have multiple banks who can come and attend your workshop. Right? You need not go there every time. At one place you have hundreds of visiting cards. Your database goes up exponentially. You're not really, I mean, if you ask me, we can look at added managed services, which adds directly onto the bottom line or top line, whatever you have. Okay. We could also look at cross-selling opportunities. There are training opportunities for officers. There are upgrade opportunities which can come in managed services also. And then there is this domain consulting, which I was just giving a reference of how Jen positioned ourselves, okay, for operational risk. So anybody has any questions on this particular exhibit? Can I go ahead? How is it the people want? Nobody to ask.
Yeah, Rajiv has some question as well as Jayanta. So
yeah, Jayanta, you have a question.
Yeah, hi Kishore. See, my question is regarding the bulleted point 2, engagement with central banks. Okay, it's not a
Sure.
question, it's actually the experience that I have with, out of the engagement I had with the central banks in Zimbabwe and Zambia. Okay,
Uh-huh.
see, when it comes to this, they expect from us something, new that we can go and discuss. Okay, it's not that, what are the best practices that should be kind of looked into and all that. That is the expectation the, central banks always have. Okay,
Yeah.
so having said that, so when we meet, we need to do a complete homework as to what kind of, the compliances or, the aspects that the banks of the country, following, and what additionally that can be done, which is globally, kind of global practices. Okay, so engagement with central banks is very tricky, and then we need to have full, homework before go and meet them, because they expect something, better. As a consultant, they like to hear which is, some better ideas or thoughts towards that.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
so
You're right. You're
so
perfect.
we need to
Sorry.
prepare, for any kind of discussion with central banks when it comes to this, regulatory compliance discussions, actually.
True, true. I mean, and if you really can do that, actually it is applicable for any meeting that you're going to have with any of the banks also. I mean, you got to have a well-prepared plan for it, because these are the product that you're taking is it's enterprise-wide system, right? I mean, it's not a
Right.
small accounting package or something. It's an enterprise-wide system. So you're going to meet only the top guys where the division is going top-down. It's not bottom-up approach at all. So whenever you're going to meet up with those guys, you by default have to plan the visit, right? You have to plan the visit. And of course,
Yeah.
if you're trying to go to the central bank, you better know what is the economic position of that particular country. You got to know the regulations. You got to know the changes in which regulation, which change has been brought about, and then you have to take the reference of that change and that regulation, how our system can really help them. Correct? So
Yes. Yes.
we're talking about this. It is definitely, and I tell you, large people they definitely go in for this. SAS does this, Oracle does this. They go and write you. When you have to shove it down the throat of anybody, it has to be top down. Okay? But yes, I agree with you. You will require some kind of inputs from us, some kind of research done on that particular geography. But I guess inside sales are champions at it. They can definitely help us. And of course, we have Ratish, you have me, we have people with experience on the field who handled large accounts in the past. Please feel free to come to us anytime. Anytime, we're there for you guys. Yeah.
Yes, what I
Basically,
wanted to tell you,
yeah.
the engagement with central banks, it has to be well thought, that point, and we need to plan, because we just cannot go and just sit in front of them saying, okay, we
Not,
have something called, yeah, compliance management, yeah, so there has
not
to be well thought, and so that it can be, brought down to the bank level, so that
I
way.
have something I can share with you. I can definitely share it with you. I have some documents. I have some slides. Whenever we
Right.
meet up, I can definitely share it with you, and then we can take it up to the next level.
Sure, we'll do that, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rajiv, I have one question, Kishore. Yeah, Rajiv, go ahead.
Rajiv.
Hi Kishore, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, Rajiv, I can definitely hear
Hello?
you. Tell me, how can I help you?
Yeah, Kishore, two things. First thing is just adding to Jayanta's query on engagement
Uh-huh.
with central bank. So do we have something to offer to central bank, as in if tomorrow Bank of Laos says that they are going to come up with a new regulation for
Yeah.
AML or for any other compliance thing. So can we, I see that you have written about brand equity. That is something definitely that will work, will discuss with them. But then do we have any product to offer to them or any services for that matter?
Right now, no. Right now, our system does not cater to the central bank's operations, like AML, KYC. But what I was
Okay.
saying is, what I was really trying to get about is that we piggybacked on them, okay? In the sense, you tell them that, look, you have a regulation. I think We did that with Bank of China, right? We referred to one of the regulations of the central bank, and we said that the presentation is around the regulation of your central bank. Remember that? I think Indo-China Bank.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Yeah, yeah. We first gave them the snapshot of what their regulation was and how we've designed the entire presentation around their regulation and what are the scenarios that we have selected because of that particular regulation. Correct? Right? And we did
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
thing when we were talking to the security bank in Philippines for Christine. We referred to their financial intelligence unit promulgation and their acts. Okay, so they said, okay, fine. I mean, this is the first time that somebody has talked about giving a particular perfect pinpointed reference to. Okay, so when you're going and engaging with the central banks, I mean, what I'm trying to tell you about is, central banks have a problem. They have a problem of a lot of money that is coming into their economy, and that economy is going to increase rates. It is going to the interest rate fluctuation is a direct impact of monies floating inside the economy. When interest rate fluctuates, you have a lot of problems in the economy. Okay, you have huge problems. You have huge problems. So to address that, if we can go and tell the central bank, look, we are here to address your problem for these banks at one stretch. I would request you are this thing, we will sponsor it. We will say that it is the central bank of that country who is handling the demand. And we will be the speakers at the podium. Just imagine the amount of exposure you are going to get here. You have suddenly plethora of banks at one situation, at one point, right? You have the whole world at your feet. Okay, so I'm telling you, boss, just go ahead and just capitalize on us, yaar. We are there to help you. We are there to help you.
Correct.
Don't think it is night or something. Just call us, yaar.
Yeah, my point was more on product and solution. Like for an example, I will just okay. So like RBI came up with this automated data flow, and I was discussing with a Bank of Lao, a couple of months back, that if they want to replicate the same in their, in Central Bank of Laos. So my question is, can we support them? Can we, when we say that automated data flow, can we have the capability or to support them to replace that entire automated data flow system? Or for that matter, if they come with the AML regulation, saying that this is mandatory regulation for all the banks. So can we support them on that?
This needs to be discussed with you in detail. I mean, this is, I would love to understand this in depth, because there's no point in me telling you no right now and yes right now. It has to be understood, because this has implications. This has vast implications, Rajiv. Though the point is very interesting, let us discuss this. I think we should get it up. We'll bring it up to Shailesh, Ratish, you, me, Shailesh, Kedar, all of us. Let's sit together. Let's understand this, what it actually means. Okay, there are things that you have to read in between lines, and that has to be analyzed perfectly. But we would love to look at it. Please bring it up whenever you're coming here, or you let me know when we should have a call with you. But I would definitely like to understand. This is interesting. Honestly, this is interesting. I would.
Yeah. Okay. My second question is with respect to false positives. In your last slide, you were mentioning about the false positive. I mean, if I understand it correctly, it relates to different scenarios. So when a customer buys an AML solution, and if if it's a crime compliance solution, there is a change in scenarios. It keeps on changing. The criminal thinks in a different way, and there might be different loopholes coming up. So there will be change in false positives as well.
Yeah. Yes, you're correct. You've understood it right. You understood it correct. Hello.
So the AML component, does it automatically updates all these false positives? Kishore? Yeah, I can hear you, Kishore. Hello.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead. I'm hearing you.
Hello.
I'm hearing you. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Kishore, my question was with respect to false positives.
Yeah, okay. See, it's like this. It's like
So I'm
this.
saying that one.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. Yeah, Rajiv, please go ahead.
Yeah, Kishore, I was saying my question was with respect to false positives. When a customer buys an Oracle AML solution, there might be change in, there might be new scenarios which might be adding up in that for that AML, as depending on the change in criminal mind. Suppose we say that there is a card fraud or there is a particular online fraud, there might be change in scenarios. So does this AML solution automatically update itself, or that customer has to buy? Yeah.
No. There's no question of buying now in 8.0. You don't have to buy scenarios anymore. In 6.0 it was, okay. But you have to configure the scenarios. Okay. Now there are two ways to it. In the training, when we take a training for our implementation, after our implementation, the training is made of two. Okay, there is a technical training and there is a functional training. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, okay, we do train them functionally as to how a scenario has to be configured. There are parameters to it. Okay. There are parameters that has to be defined. How do you define that? How do you align it with other scenarios? Do you want an added scenario to this? So there are many things that go by in configuration. Okay. Largely in an AML implementation,
Hello, Kishore, are you able to hear me? Hello, Kishore, you are not audible. Hello.
hello, can you hear me? Hello. Yeah, guys, I lost you. All lost me something in between. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Kishore, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Good. I just wanted to know whether others are having a problem. Okay. Anyway, so we go to the next slide, and that is thank you. My session, friends, is done today.
Kishore, hello.
I'm open for any questions from any one of us on this session.
Kishore, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Kishore, when we say that out-of-box regulatory reporting available, do you have the list of countries in Africa, especially for East Africa, the countries which are covered under the out of box RR?
I can share that. It's a very good question. I can share the list of out-of-box report countries. That is the regulatory reporting, right? That is there. Okay.
And the second thing is. And the second thing is.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we say that we have 300 plus scenarios, so thus all the transaction happening in the bank undergoes all the scenarios, or can we have some specific bucket that this sort of transaction need to go only 50, 60 scenarios and we can pass it on?
No, it's not like that, Sayyad. It's like this. Okay, there can be n number of transactions that are happening in a bank, right? There are so many transactions. There are so many sources of that transaction. A scenario is not for a particular transaction. It is across all transactions, all kind of things. Okay, it is trying to find out whether I can look at a problematic transaction. It is not meant only for a kind of transaction. For a fraud transaction, I agree. I mean, if it is a credit card fraud transaction, it will not look at the amount of money withdrawn, right? And when you're making payments, you can do a credit card or a debit card withdrawal from an ATM, which can be of a huge amount. But to actually cater to that, to neglect it, the ATM withdrawals are not allowed beyond 20,000 rupees in a day, 40,000 rupees a day. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Can all
Go ahead.
Hello? Zubair, can you hear me?
Kishore, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, Kishore, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So I'm done with my presentation. I finished with it. This is an open session. Is there anything that people would like to ask me? Is there any doubts or something of that kind? Naresh, I think you had asked me something in between, right? Naresh Kumar?
Yeah, that was, I'll probably ask it offline because that, I think it's slightly off topic as of now.
Okay.
Kishore, my question is on the real-time sanctions.
Yeah.
The module list of FCCM. So, does this refer to the real-time monitoring?
Yes, Sayyid, you are correct. Okay, this refers to real-time monitoring of fraud. Okay, of fraud, Sayyid. What I mean by that is when you are using your debit card, when you are using your credit card, when you are using your bank, when you are using your phone banking. Okay, when you are withdrawing money, when you are paying money. Okay, that is the time that fraud scenarios will be into action. The real-time filter, real-time sanctions filter works on that for fraud on real-time. Suppose you are at, say, in one of the big shopping malls, okay, and you swipe your card, right? Hello, can you hear?
Yes.
Okay, so now if by mistake you are at a jewelry shop, okay, in this mall, and you swiped your debit card, okay, the first thing would be it will identify that it's a debit card transaction, and it will look at the fraud scenario for matches. The moment you say it finds something unnatural about either the geography in which the transaction is taken place, either the amount in which the transaction is taken place, or in the type of merchant that the transaction is taken place, it will block that account. It will block that transaction.
Okay, so is this a module which is equal to CTA HotScan, or which it covers the functionality of CTA HotScan?
You are correct. You are right. You are right. You are on the right track, sir. You got it correct.
Okay. And just correct my understanding on the case management. So what I understood is like the bank create a bunch of scenarios and they make it as a case, so that any transaction, specific transaction which need to be passed or to be screened under these scenarios, it will go to the particular case and it get clears. Is it like that?
No, your voice is cracking. Can you please repeat that?
No, maybe I'll put it in this way. Can you elaborate more on the case management module, what it does actually?
Okay, case management module, I'll tell you what it does. See, when an alert is generated, okay, and you want further investigation, okay, when you want to do a further investigation, you want to do in-depth investigation. What the case management, enterprise case management does is, it manages the allocation, the queues, and the reports that comes out from case management. Remember the case where you said, Kishore, I think there is a cost reduction that needs to be done. Do you really need case management? That was the question you had asked me, right? Correct? Yeah. So for that, your question was valid. Your question was valid because in that economy and the kind of transactions that are going to happen in the particular case that we were talking about, we said, okay, fine, you can still manage it in KYC. You need not invest in the enterprise case management today. Only thing is, you will have to physically, manually distribute the cases to the concerned person. That's about it. But when you're talking of a tier 1 company and huge number of transactions that have to be monitored, then you have to have a system that automates and automatically allocates it in queues to the concerned analyst. That is when you have enterprise case management that is going to be useful. Have I answered your question?
Yes, sir.
Any more questions, sir? Any more questions from anybody? Please feel free to ask. Yeah, Ankit, tell me.
HotScan is a third-party application which is from a different organization. I don't think OFSA has an inbuilt real-time fraud detection software. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, there is actually. We have the hello.
Yeah, I'm there.
Somebody asked me something. Okay, we have Oracle sanction filter. We have a watch list also. We have a real-time sanction filter also. So it's available. But I need to check up as to
no, because I remember correctly that one of the clients that I was working for in Nigeria, we actually gave a HotScan as the real-time fraud software. We did not give anything on OFSA.
no,
So I just wanted to know if was there a change or has Oracle come up with something like that?
Yes, Oracle has come out something. There is a change. We have our own watch list filtering and real-time sanction.
Okay. Well, any idea on what that is?
Right? Could you repeat?
What is it called?
It is called as Oracle watch list filtering, or watch list filtering and real-time sanctions filtering.
Watch list filtering and real-time sanction filtering.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, checking on Google, huh?
Yeah, I'm Googling it now. Watch list filtering.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Oracle and
any more questions, sir? Session can be concluded.
I think we will start the test now. So you have 15 minutes to complete all the test.
Okay, you can start it. Can you help me, Soumya, on that?
Yeah,
Start with that.
I'm just launching it. Participant kindly check in your screen. I launched. Okay, all the best.
Easy one, don't scare them. Guys, you have 10 minutes to finish this, yeah? Okay?
So why is not going second page, yeah?
No problem, man, no problem. I'm sending the answer there, no problem.
Hello? Hey, Soumya?
Tell me, just walked off here. What did I help you? How can I help you?
Next page is there. What is your next page?